If you've got a horse, then odds are you're going to need to take it places. And until we invent teleportation, somebody really should get onto that. You're going to be stuck with road transport. So what are the options? As with most things in life, there really isn't a one-size-fits-all. It does depend on what you're doing. But today we'll look at trailers, horse boxes, and larger horse lorries. The pros and cons of each, and why none of them are quite perfect. Let's start with trailers. Now, trailers really are not dissimilar to towing a caravan, except the passengers are way more judgmental. On the plus side, they are far cheaper than other forms. Even a decent used trailer will be a lot cheaper than some form of horse box. The fact that they're attached to your car is actually really useful as well, because if you have a problem with your car, then you just take the car to the garage and your car has its MOT and its servicing, and that covers everything, because the trailer itself, yes, you need to keep it well maintained, but is just being towed. It's really as simple as that. So they're a lot easier in a lot of ways, cheaper to run, cheaper to buy. You often have a bit more space, because a trailer that's the same size as a horse box, with the horse box, you've got an engine and the driving cab. So that space is taken away. Whereas you'll often see you'll have a small living space, maybe with a pull-out bed for small stayaways, which you wouldn't have with a 3.5 ton horse box. Personally, I find them harder to drive. Towing isn't a skill many of us practice regularly, and reversing one, don't even get me started. I find them less stable than a horse box, although I will admit I don't have much trailer experience. Most small cars won't tow a trailer with a pony. You need to check the car's braked towing weight. For larger ponies or horses, only 4x4s, pickups and the likes will cope. Fine if you already have one, expensive if you don't. A horse box is basically a van that's been converted to carry horses. They tend to be able to carry up to about 3.5 tons, including the vehicle itself, and you can drive them on a normal license, and they can normally take 2 ponies or 1 horse. Personally, I find them a lot easier to drive than a trailer, particularly with reversing, much more straightforward. They don't take up your car. You can have one person driving the car and someone else with the horse box. And we found ours to be incredibly versatile. This thing has helped someone move house. I've done runs to the tip. I've picked up dining tables and chairs. If anything, I've probably done more carrying not horses than I've done carrying horses. As I mentioned, a small car isn't going to be able to tow a trailer. So as much as these are expensive, even a good quality used one is going to cost far more than a trailer. If you've got to buy a bigger car and then hook it up for towing and then buy a trailer, maybe this would be cheaper. On the downside, there's no space for staying away. A horse box will have just enough space for a small groom's area. Fine if you like camping, but me, I'll find a hotel, thanks. If something goes wrong, your local garage might not touch it. For example, with our lorry right now, windscreen wipers, yeah, not so much. I've checked the things I can check, basically just the fuse, but now we're going to take it to a specialist who will be able to take a look and hopefully put it right. This is another motor vehicle, so that's one more MOT, more tax, more insurance, and another set of keys to lose. And then there's the dream option, the big lorries. These can go from 7.5 tons up to 26 tons or more. Now, for context, a 7.5 ton lorry like this one will take 2 or 3 horses. For the bigger ones, it's basically a yard on wheels. For these, the benefits are mostly obvious. If you're taking multiple horses, then anything smaller just isn't going to cut it. You're going to need one of these. And the living space, well, it'll have full beds, showers, normally has hookups for energy and water. It's definitely going to make stayaways a lot less feral. But it's not all plain sailing. First of all, there's the cost. even a half decent 7.5 ton lorry is going to cost you, 35, 40, maybe even more. And for the bigger lorries, well, if it's anything like us, if you need to ask, you probably can't afford it. And then driving them. The bigger they are, the harder they are to drive. If you pass your test before 97, then you can drive a 7.5 ton on a private driving license. But after that, or anything bigger, you're going to need to do your Cat C license. And that's doable. I'm looking at doing mine, but it's not cheap and it's not easy. And parking? Well, these aren't small. A 3.5 ton lorry is basically a big van. It's not a problem. But something like this, well, a lot of yards won't have the space. You'll end up parking 10 miles in the wrong direction and having to go and fetch it anytime you want to go anywhere. So, is there one option that's the best? Well, not really. For us, we love our 3.5 ton lorry. It beats towing, and we're not ready for anything bigger yet. But whatever you choose, the most important thing is that you and your horses get wherever you're going safely and comfortably. And I'll see you next time, hopefully with a working windscreen wiper.